Hey guys, and welcome to the latest in the Sleepy Talk podcast. Today I'm joined with Steve, the regular, and a new face that you won't see, but you can hear. It's James.
Hello.
How are we doing, guys?
Steve literally said hello when I said James. Like
I know you did.
So no, that's Steve. But yeah, James is there. James, tell us about you.
Tell you about me. Caught me off guard there. I think the best way to describe me would be gamer, nerd, weeb. In those three words. Right there.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And what do you do with your weebiness? What do you do?
I have we have a podcast, the Sharing Gang, with a couple of good friends of mine, where we discuss anime and weeby related action. I'm sure Luke will be kind enough to pop that in the description.
Yeah. And who do you do that with?
That is that guy with dreads and Clockwork Nerd.
Right. So Ryan's on your podcast and not on mine anymore.
I did wonder, if there might be just a little stabby, just a little one somewhere.
Not bitter. I'm sure we'll see Ryan again on here. He can't keep himself away from the mermaids, so yeah, we'll go there. So today we don't really have anything in particular to sort of focus on, except for the sort of story of James. Really. So James has advised us that he's got a couple of spooky wooky stories to talk about. And should we just get straight into it?
By all means, man. Yeah, by all means. I would say the main one. Well, no, I'll start with the lesser, I suppose, of two evils, if you will. The first story was one from my mum, which was when she was working security at Woolworths. I can't remember when exactly this was. I think it was back in the 90s, possibly late 80s, early 90s, late 80s, which she was working there. And obviously it used to be a cinema, did it not, in Chesterfield city centre. And basically it burnt down. And the manager and I believe some children were trapped inside when it actually burnt down. And basically there was a storeroom upstairs at the very top that all staff members just refused to go in. So even superiors sort of saying, need you to go and fetch this. No. It was just a downright universal. People would not go up there. And my mum started working there, and she grew up with, I believe the correct term is, her dad, my granddad, was a verger, a grave digger, if you will. She hates when I call it that. But he tended to the graves, basically, in the graveyard. So my mum had grown up around the spooky, if you will. The kind of kid who used to play in the graveyard, that kind of person. So she wasn't really fazed by things like that. Anyway, she went up into the storeroom, and as she walked in, she could smell like really strong smell of cigar smoke. And apparently, this manager of the cinema used to be a cigar smoker, and she could really smell it. And her first instinct was just, who the hell is smoking in here? So she's going around checking, looking around, and she can hear and she starts to hear footsteps behind her. Like someone walking toward her. And anyway, she turns around and she said all she could see was just a pair of legs almost. Just essentially a pair of legs is all she could see, just walking down this aisle toward her in these sort of checkered trowel. And just, and as it's approaching her, as it's getting to her, they literally, the sort of blink and it's just gone. Yeah. That situation, yeah. So that was quite an interesting experience for her. That was story number one.
So that is where Game is now. Did you say
no, that is where the cinema used to be, where Zanzibar / Escapade is now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It used to be there. Go on. Sorry, Steve.
Weren't Woolworths and whatnot a bit further down?
That was on Vicar Lane, wasn't it? It moved when Vicar Lane was built. When Vicar Lane was built, they moved the site down onto Vicar Lane to get higher traffic for custom. Yeah, Vicar Lane used to be a road that the buses used to take. Yeah, like they used to turn up what goes down past Wilco's and whatnot. They used to turn up there and it used to drive down that road.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember on one of the previous podcasts we had Carl on, and he used to work up with up near Game
Yes.
at the top level.
Yeah.
And he's got a very similar story.
Really?
Yeah. So he says there was children that were trapped underneath.
Right.
I think it was the cinema.
Yeah, I
and
didn't
they're all, like,
know
lit up.
too many details on like the kids.
Yeah.
But I had heard, yeah, as I said before, that kids were also trapped in there along with this manager who'd obviously tried to get them out.
Yeah, from my recollection, I don't know whether the location is exact from where you're saying it was to where Carl said it was, but it's definitely next to Game anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
Just on
I
the
could
other
have
side.
Right
sworn
next to
it
Game.
was. I mean, I know Woolworths did move site. I could have sworn it was Woolworths. It could have been a different place, but I know it was in that area. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it was Woolworths that she worked for at the time, because I know she was security at the time.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong there.
Well,
Um,
the location's roughly the same place
Yeah.
as where Carl said it. Might have just been my
It's a street away,
understanding.
essentially.
Yeah.
Over the
and
road, if you will.
Yeah, it's
in
just over
those
the road.
days as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, in those days anyway, they had cellars and coal chutes and things like that, didn't they? And there's all like a sort of network underground.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
you had like
yeah,
cellars that were one wall away from each other of properties and
Yeah.
whatnot, wouldn't it? Yeah, especially
Yeah,
like the
exactly.
shambles and areas like that, definitely.
yeah, it's just like a terraced house, really.
Yeah,
Walls
just pretty
pretty
much
much, yeah.
every creepy connotation you have with an old town, that is pretty.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like the
Everything's just
creepy old
connected.
small like living spaces with like just like you say, everything is just a wall away from it, like from something else.
Yeah. So Carl said that when he was working in Game, he dropped down the shutters when he was closing up, and something or somehow the shutters then started like shaking like mad,
Really?
and he was like, he noped out of there. He was
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
no, I'm not dealing with
yeah,
that.
yeah,
And he didn't believe anybody else that stuff happened up there because he was like really skeptical on things.
yeah.
And then all of a sudden that happened, and he was like, nope.
I'm out of here. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
So yeah, it's interesting to see sort of like another perspective, another story on
Yeah.
on that,
Especially
sort of thing.
like with such a time in between as well.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, definitely.
With like occurrences in that same area, but so spaced apart.
I mean, we were focusing on the children, so I was saying like maybe it's like a kid that's trying to get out. You know, when you put
Yeah.
the shutters down and their
Mm.
sort of like ghost or whatever is trying to escape the flames. you know,
Yeah,
and is rattling the shutters to get
Yeah.
out. But
Yeah. Sort of
Again,
like they're locking
I'm-
them in.
yeah, effectively like that fear response.
yeah,
But as everyone knows, I'm skeptical on things anyway. I've already broached the subject with Carl to see if we can do a lock-in there.
yeah.
But obviously, COVID
Course.
keeps putting an end to all my ideas.
It's great at doing that, isn't it? I mean, I have
Yeah.
to say, I am somebody who I believe in the paranormal, very much so. You know, I am there. I fully believe in it, but I'm not one of those people who, you know, you hear a bang, it's a ghost. Like, I very much go about, how can I explain this first?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
like you should. You know, when
Yeah,
it comes to
that
like
is the best way
paranormal
of doing it.
investigation. Yeah, like you have to know that it can't be explained before you go around saying that it's something, you know, otherworldly, as it were.
Yeah, and that's what I kind of hate about shows that do it, because it's like, oh, there's a ghost. Like Most Haunted, prolific in their lies, and
Yeah,
you know,
it's
I
not
think
hard
it was-
for someone to wander off, is it, and throw a rock
No.
down a corridor and it echoes
No.
up. You know, it's not. It's just not difficult to pull something like that off.
it's not hard to edit one in either.
No,
Like,
no.
But no. Now there was a show. I'll have to find it and put it in the description. But there was two guys who. There was one who was terrified of everything and one who was skeptical as hell.
Yeah.
And they used to go and do sort of like ghost hunting things and try and mock other sort of ghost hunters.
Right.
Okay.
And the amount of things that they debunked was incredible.
Really?
Yeah, there was
That sounds really interesting.
the creepiest thing ever. Like a shutter was blowing back and forth in this abandoned prison, and it was making like a really eerie sound off in the distance.
Yeah.
And they were like convinced. They were like, "No, there's definitely something here." But they went towards it, found out that, oh, right, okay, there's the culprit
Yeah.
tucked in behind somewhere, and they were like, "There's the culprit, right? We've closed that. No more sound. Okay, then let's go." But it just goes to show that even like the most skeptical people, put into a specific environment, can panic like hell,
Oh yeah.
change their whole ethos on life,
Yeah.
and
I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? You're already, as soon as you put someone in the darkness, you're already at a disadvantage.
yeah,
Because of the primal fear of the dark.
mm-hmm.
Whether you're afraid of the dark, being afraid of the dark or you're not, you are to a level. Everybody is. Because
Yeah,
it's fear of the
course they
unknown. You can't see, therefore you're afraid of, even if it's afraid of stubbing your toe, you're still afraid, and then that fear is there. And I think it definitely, as soon as you put into a spooky setting, like you hear any noise in an abandoned asylum at night, you're going to have a bad time. Because you're in a location that's synonymous with having a bad time. And it's been so Hollywood dramatized that it's almost just instilled in you. And it's impossible to escape, especially in our generation now.
Yeah, it's definitely finding the difference between a learned behavior and a primal sort of instinct.
Yeah.
Because we are force-fed horror. Like our generation, especially, we've grown up on some really, really good horror films.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
really good.
Yeah.
And now they're starting to become comedy horrors.
Yeah.
So maybe the
Yes.
next generation is just going to find dark spaces funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know what you're saying, though. Yeah. But it's just
we're,
like, this is
terrified.
hilarious, rather than, when I was growing up, I remember, the first film that ever really, crippled my psyche was The Ring.
Yeah. You've got The Ring,
God.
Exorcist,
That
Blair Witch Files.
destroyed me, that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's funny, because, I was never scared of a TV, so... it's kind of funny, really. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I never stayed away from the. I've never watched the TV since. Like, no.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Are we conditioned to fear it? Is it primal? It's finding the balance between the two. So it would be interesting to see sort of like the next generation on this sort of thing, because I think we potentially might be sort of like the last generation that's kind of on the fence. Potentially.
How so?
Because I look at like my grandparents, their grandparents, blah blah blah, and listen to stories from them. Everything was spooky, unknown. You can see it with ghost hunting programs now as well. Is back in the day, anything was a ghost.
Yeah.
As we've sort of evolved and have more technology and things like that, I know I've just slated it before, but I'm only going off like Most Haunted was 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Yeah, long time ago now.
Completely different to what ghost hunting things are now.
Oh, yeah.
Because everybody thinks it's ridiculous. Everybody's sort of like, well, no, that's not real. That's just someone doing this.
Yeah, I think it's definitely tipped into that favour, hasn't it, of people disbelieving than believing. I think it definitely has.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see sort of like another generation's perspective on it. Because like I said, I think we're sort of one of the last generations on the fence.
Yeah.
Like, we're skeptical, we kind of believe, but we don't. We want to find the answers, but we're kind of scared of doing it as well.
Yeah, because when you know, you can't take it back.
Yeah.
This is the thing, yeah. But I tell you what makes me laugh, though, is especially like just on the subject of obviously like horror, as we're speaking about now. I find it funny that so fewer people now believe in the supernatural, yet find supernatural horror films the most terrifying,
Mm-hmm.
whereas very few people find slasher horror films terrifying, and that's way more likely to be real.
Yeah.
It's way more likely for someone to stick a mask on, grab a knife out the kitchen, and go around hacking and slashing than it is for some demon to possess your missus and start crawling on the roof. Like, do you know what I mean? But like, that's way scarier.
Yeah, but it's fear of the unknown, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's it.
absolutely.
I mean, without being like, I can't even think of the word now, but without being this, it's far more realistic and common, and we're very much more desensitized to like serial killers and
Yeah.
death. And I mean, for example, I know it's completely off topic, but you know the sort of Africa adverts, you know, not NSPCC, but you know what I mean, the comic relief stuff and things like
Oxfam.
that.
Yeah.
Is it Oxfam?
Yeah, they show videos of dying children, and at first when that came out, everyone was like, "Oh my god, we need
Horrified.
to help."
Yeah.
And now,
Yeah.
30 to 40 years later, we're desensitized to it because we see it
Yeah.
every
And you've
day.
seen it for so many years, it's become the norm, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's
As
like, well,
horrible as that is.
yeah, clearly something's not working. Like,
Yeah.
there's no point me donating anymore because nothing gets fixed. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like serial killers and things like that, terror attacks. I think we're desensitized to that. Like France got attacked
to an extent.
like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I mean, we had one day of like news on it. Macron then came out and said, "Will not let the terrorists win." What have we heard since?
I won't lie to you. I literally heard about that yesterday.
There you go.
I
Read
heard about
one
it
thing.
2
I
days
didn't
after
even know it.
happened.
Yeah, I literally didn't. Oh, when did it happen? Today?
No,
No,
it was
no,
like
not today,
2 weeks
last
ago.
week.
A week,
What?
2 weeks
Oh,
ago.
I thought you said you read about it today, like
No.
after it happened. I thought you said, Steve. It was literally
It was
yesterday.
like a few days after.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, and it was literally
Yeah.
for me. It was yesterday. I heard nothing about it. I saw nothing about it.
Yeah. And
Nothing
that's
at all.
what I mean. We kind of, I don't know whether that's because there's been a lot going off. Obviously, you've got the presidential election. We've had COVID, lockdown, you know. I don't know whether it's because this news is more important than that. But for me, I genuinely don't think that we're sensitive to terror attacks as bad as we were back on like 9/11
Yeah.
and 7/7. Because that was a horrifying day.
Oh, it were. But I think also it's trying to not cover it as much to give them not as much.
Power.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
By-
but
by
when has the
showing it-
media ever thought about doing that?
They don't normally, but this is
That's what I
France's
mean.
media, not our media, not America's media.
Yeah, but
France
our
could be
media
trying
would
to
still
keep it-
talk about it.
To a point, depending on how much France lets it get out.
Yeah, I get that. I get what you're saying. I agree with you that that's how it should be handled. I'm not sure that's how it was handled though, but I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Because yeah, we're trying to make it. Well, we're not trying to make them infamous on things,
That's
but
it.
I think that the horse has bolted on that one. We've been talking about them since 9/11.
Yeah.
And
That
this
was
is
when
what
it-
I mean about desensitization. We kind of, as much as it doesn't happen as often as it used to do, to our knowledge,
To us, yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of like we already know about it. We know the threat's there, and every time I see like in the news that our threat level's gone from severe to imminent, and then back down to severe, and then back to imminent. It is what it is. Like, it's an awful thing to happen, but I think we're kind of just moving on with our lives about it and not being terrified of going out the front door. And then COVID comes, and then we're terrified to go out the front door.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now,
Yeah.
people don't care about COVID. They don't.
No.
They're sick.
No, they
and-
don't.
Well, there are obviously some people that care about it, but the majority, I believe, are sick and tired of being told what to do, told when they can go out, when they can't go out, told they can't go to the pub anymore. They can't go to work, but they have to go to work.
Yeah.
You know,
You can, you
We've gone
can't,
off
you can,
on-
you can't.
huge tangent right now, but it all
Do
ties
this,
in.
Don't do that.
Yeah, I think we've been desensitized to a lot of things. And it'd been interesting to see how the next generation takes it, because we started on the fence with things.
It's going to
And-
take a lot to shock the kids
with the
of today.
With next generation, I'm sort of seeing it now with my kids. So stuff when I were back their age, like they're watching now. I wouldn't sleep for days. These watch it, and then they're talking about it, and they're fine. It's like it's never happened. But for me, back then, I wouldn't have slept. My
It's like
mum
our age.
my mum physically wouldn't let me do it because I'd watch stuff, and then I'd have nightmares for months. Now, even my youngest, she's 5.
Yeah,
Not bothered about it.
yeah.
She watched Attack on Titan, didn't she?
Yeah, she loved it.
That's crazy.
Attack
And even now, as a grown man, I will never get that Titan's face out of my mind.
Yeah, the big
From
grin.
episode 1, who eats his mum. Do you know what I mean? I will never get that.
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
see it now. I'll never get that image. Like, not in a way that it haunts me, but I will, because it's so horrible. It's the smile. I'll never get that image out of my mind. It'll never go away.
Yeah.
Such powerful imagery. I've got to hand it to the author. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but I've got to hand it to him. That stays with you.
Yes, it does.
Uh,
Just you
and that's
saying
just-
it now.
Exactly. Yeah, you can see it, can't you?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
yeah. Straight away, it's the smile, but it's just, it'd be interesting to see when we actually get out of lockdown, when we actually do our ghost adventure style thing. I think I'm going to call it the Spooky Wookies or something like that. But it'd be interesting to see if we're ever put in a position where there is meant to be an element of fear, whether we do fight or flight.
Well, there is one place
Crap
that
ourselves.
I absolutely 100% want to go. I'll hold my hand up. I apologise. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head.
Don't
But
want
my
to go
sister,
there, do
but my sister stayed there. It's up in the Lake District.
you? Mhm.
It's a very old place, and she stayed there. And she's very much a believer. My brother-in-law wasn't so much. You know, he didn't really care for it until he stayed there,
Oh,
and now he's very
Okay.
much a believer.
Have
Now
to
he's
find
very
out.
much a believer.
yeah. I have to find out for us, and then hopefully.
I'll get the
It's-
name for you. I will get the name for you. I will let you know as soon as possible. Remind me if I don't, because I'm terrible, right? Horrific. You know this already. But yeah, I will. You know this. But yeah, remind me, and I'll get it. I'll get it for you. The name, because I really do definitely want to stay a night up there. Because it's supposed to be horrific. It's supposed to be awful. Genuinely.
Yeah, it'd be good to lock
Brilliant.
Steve in
That's
that
what we
room.
want.
Yeah, because this is the thing.
Yeah,
I want
I'm
like.
already scared of tunnels. Let's get me scared of something else.
Yeah, let's get you scared of bedrooms. You know, why not? Yeah, why
No
not?
more
Exactly.
podcasting for me then.
Yeah, this is it now. You have to sit outside all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't go in. I can't go indoors. No.
Where are you, Steve? I'm in car.
Yeah.
I'm under a trampoline.
Yeah, no,
The only
I
place
do.
is safe.
I do really want to stay somewhere that's supposed to be, you know, legitimately haunted. Numerous accounts of different people, no connection between them. You know, real legit stuff. I really, really do. It's one of the things that I've always been terrified to do, but I feel it's one of those things that I absolutely have to do because I need the answers.
Yeah, and well, we're gonna be going to that tunnel that Steve's on about.
Oh yes, where is
We're
this?
gonna go on,
If I-
Steve.
Near me. Killamarsh.
Do I know about this tunnel? I might have heard of it because I do have a friend. I do have a friend, a very good friend, who lives in Killamarsh.
Do you know what's
It's
incredible?
a local one.
What's really
I'll have to
incredible
ask him.
is James has joined the podcast, right? And he hasn't listened to the podcast where we talk about the tunnel.
I have not. I do apologise. I have not. No, I have not. No, but I have
No,
subscribed.
it's fine.
Whereas you have not. So it swings and roundabouts. So let's not get bogged
Subscribe
down.
to what?
My channel.
I've subscribed to Sharing Gang.
Oh,
Right.
there you go. You see. So let's.
I don't have two
so it
separate
swings
accounts.
and roundabouts. It's all
I don't
good.
have two separate accounts. That's all I'm saying.
It's all good, mate. Greedy. Do you know what I mean? Greedy. Why
Shy
have the
gang
one
answered to me.
when you can have the two? That's not my department. That's not
Swings
my
and roundabouts.
department.
Swings
we're
and
not-
roundabouts.
We're not going to get bogged down, right? We're all friends here. We're not going to get bogged down, right?
Yeah, I think we've bled that stone dry. So yeah, you've got another story. So I've heard through the grapevine.
Yes, I have. Yeah, this was my favourite one, if you will, that I was told.
Is it the banger?
Definitely by my parents. Yeah, it was one that my dad told me.
Ooh.
And it's definitely a personal experience from him. You know, so it wasn't like a friend of a friend of a friend situation. It was first hand, happened to him and his mate. Now, very close to where I grew up, which is a little hamlet on the outskirts of Chesterfield, there is a place that connects to it called Old Brampton. Now, Old Brampton is renowned for having numerous haunted places, like the little church that's there. Old Brampton Hall, which is directly across from it, that is supposed to be... I mean, this church is so old that it had has technically one of the tunnels that the priests used to escape from when they were getting hunted. We're talking, that's how old it is. And basically, next to that, there is, or it used to be, it's a property now, but there used to be a pub called the Georgian Dragon. And that had been there for years and years and years. And way back, my dad was doing a bit of repair work for him and his mate. They were doing, like I said, they were doing just general repairs all over the place, like up in the loft / attic, whatever you want to call it, right down into the cellar. They're all over the place. Anyway, so my dad's working away, and he, you got your tools down by your side as you do your work, and he reaches down for what he's been using, like a screwdriver or a spanner. So it's not important, but you know what I mean. It's got a tool next to it, and he reaches down, and it's gone. And straight away, he's like, yeah, his mate, he's messing about, he's having a laugh, he's robbed off with it. So he's like, right. So he goes out to find him. His mate's at the van. He's just like, come on, then, let's be having you. And he's like, I don't know what you're on about, Keith. Like, I've not had it. And he's like, come on, let's not mess about. Come on, we want to crack on. Let's be having you. And he's like, honestly, Keith, I've not touched it. Anyway, my dad's not having it. He doesn't believe him, but he's just like, right, fine, whatever. He grabs another, in he goes, right? Anyways, so he's working away. Goes again, reaches down. It's not there. And this is like, my dad didn't have the longest fuse. Do you know what I mean? So he's just like, right. So he goes and finds him, and he's just like, would you pack it in? Do you know what I mean? Like, give me my tools back. And he's just like, Keith, I've not touched any of your tools. Anyway, some bits and bobs that they've been lying around, as I say, not only next to where my dad had been working, but when they'd like pop something down maybe on the bar or something like that, things just kept disappearing. So they're looking all over, like they can't find it. They go up into the final place to check is like up in the loft, up in the attic. So, he gets on the ladder, he goes up into the loft. There's no lights or anything because the power's down. So he's got his torch and he's shining it around. And basically he said to me, and there's certain things, whether you believe it or not, it's one of those, it is what it is. But there's certain things when somebody tells you and you can see like that look in their eye. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, he shines the torch around, and all the tools that had been missing, probably about 8 or 10 different things in total, were just laid out on the floor in a cross. And they were just like, nope, both of them looked up into the loft, they're both there together, shine it round, they both see it, look at each other, gone, straight in the van, away you go. And he was like, nope. And he said, that is one of the most scared I've ever been in my life.
It's weird how it were a cross. But
That's what
then
I
again,
think.
you mentioned like priests and stuff, didn't you? Getting chased down.
But the
tunnels.
thing is, yeah, as the perspective was, I can't say it was an upside down cross because perspective,
Yeah.
but it was a cross. So depending on, do you know what I mean? It was one of those things. It is what it is. I'm not saying it was upside down. I'm not saying it was right. That's what he told me. And he had that look about him that was definitely not, and he told me that story, and I asked him about him, I asked here and there, I'd sort of, it'd be brought up, and never once did he be like, hey, I had you for ages with that one,
Yeah.
nothing like that. It was just, he stuck to his guns on that one all the way through. So I was just like, fair enough.
Yeah, it's just weird. It's weird how like certain people experience things. Like,
yeah,
it is proper weird how there's a lot of people experience something, but not a lot gets said anymore.
yeah.
So I imagine that story's probably never left your family or close friends.
No. Not really, no. I mean, there's definitely been like friends I've told it to, but no. I mean, I mean, my dad told me.
Yeah.
And like, there was obviously, me mum, my sister, that kind of thing. They were there, but I never heard him like, tell it round the table, as it were, to people. It wasn't just, here, get this. It wasn't one of those stories.
Yeah. And that's where like the credibility lies for me. Like, I believe that people experience something. Whether I believe that it is a spooky occurrence or not, I believe that those people believe it. And it always goes to sort of show when... Yeah, so if that story's never been, like, broadcasted out, I don't know whether it's because of a social stigma surrounding things like that. Like, I know for me personally, when it came to creating this podcast and sort of like talking about my experiences and things like that and getting my mum on, there was still hesitancy from myself to do it.
Yeah.
There still is now. I just enjoy doing it, and I'm like, screw everyone else. I'm gonna
look. I love it as well, man. Like, I do. Like, I love the spooky stuff. Look, like even the stories I've told, like from my mum, from my dad, they were told to me. I've passed them on.
Yeah.
I'm not saying for people to listen, and it's like you must believe that. Look, you might listen to it and be like, behave, but it is what it is. It's a story. It was told to me, in as truth. It was from both of my parents, who I trust implicitly.
Yeah.
And that it is what it is. It's one of those things. I mean, I have not. I mean, I have personally experienced a couple of things.
Oh, go on then.
I mean, my two main ones that I can tell you 100%. The first one that I'll tell you is, all I can say to you is, from me to you, hand on heart, this is what I saw. What I'm going to tell you, I saw it. Like that. That's it. And I've always like said to people, I have never cared who does or does not believe me. I saw what I saw, and I'm happy with that knowledge. But it was when, funnily enough, it was Old Brampton again, right? Me and an old friend of mine, we used to, because of where I grew up again, it was like legitimately an hour's walk down to the closest shop. So we would make a habit of basically, as you do, we just have a long chat. We'd just walk down, chat all the way, grab some snacks, chat all the way back. It became a bit of a tradition of ours. We did it one day for a laugh. Let's see if we can walk it. It became a bit of a tradition. Anyway, on this particular time, we were walking back. We were coming back up, and I don't remember the details. This was like of what we were talking about or anything like that. This was back when I was like in my teens. I must have been about, I don't know, 13, 14, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we're walking back up Old Brampton. We're outside the churchyard. We're literally walking up. Like, so we've gone past the George and Dragon. We're walking up past like the wall, which is like raised up at the side of you. You go past like the little entryway in, which goes up some steps. Walking like sort of down the wall. Anyway, we ended up like laughing and joking about something. We ended up running. I can't remember why. We're messing around and we're running like up the road. And I forever, ever since I was young, I've always, when I'm walking, I always have to periodically take a glance behind me.
Yeah.
I always do. That was something that was like built in. You know, I grew up having incessant night terrors, a crippling fear of the dark. You know, I had a rough time of it when I was young. So that like ingrained into me that I always check behind me. Anyway, I'm running, laughing. Hey, we're having a good time. We're laughing, pissing about. I'm running. I turn around and there is someone sprinting at me. Sprinting at me. And I like see him. Like all greyed out, like that's all I can genuinely tell you. Just like grey, but I could see, like, you know, all the limbs. Not just like, oh, it was a shadow coming. No, like someone was sprinting, looking dead at me, sprinting toward me, and I just wait. You know, you go into overdrive like you see on cartoons where legs go around in a circle, and they just pull away and body goes behind. It was literally like that, and I bombed past my mate. Turned round again as he's laughing. He didn't know what's going on. He's no idea, you know. I just
left him for dead.
Started like absolutely went boomed past him. Turned round as I'd just gone past him. Nothing there.
Jeez.
That put it right up me that. Honestly,
I bet it did. So
two
you had an
experiences around
adrenaline
that.
spike, didn't you?
Oh, aye, big time.
You
Like
had a massive adrenaline
immediate, Luke. Like I've there's very few times in my life where it's like injected the adrenaline that fast. Like we're talking from 0 to 100. You know, like I'm absolutely fine. I'm a light run. I turn around and it is just 100-meter sprint. You know. It was, I've definitely never like kicked it into overdrive so fast. Like that put that instant fear and like the fight or fly. I didn't even have time to think of either. It was flight immediately. There was no, do you know what I mean? There was no back and forth. It was just get out of there.
Yeah, it was St. James. Just boom, gone.
Get out of there. Yeah, seriously.
9.87 seconds flat. But no, I get it. So clearly, like, if you experience fight or flight, then that's a primal thing, you know.
That's instantaneous.
Yeah,
there's no thinking like, about that. Oh, you're either literally doing one thing or the other. You're either going to leg it, or you're going to run at it.
Yeah.
Or you're going to stand there and piss yourself.
Yeah, or just freeze in the moment.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm curious. I'm curious what I would have done if I hadn't have already been running. I think the momentum is what made that happen. To be honest. I think the momentum is what gave me the ability to like pick it up. And I tell you what, it's impressive how much faster you can go. I tell you what, seriously. Like when you don't even like when you don't know but your brain knows that life's on the line as far as it's concerned. Wow, do you knock it up a peg?
Because you just feel it, don't you? You feel it in your stomach. It's like a bit of a butterfly feeling, but all of a sudden you feel vitalized.
Adrenaline for me goes straight into my hands first. My hands start shaking. Yeah, like it goes straight in before I pretty much feel it anywhere else. My hands start trembling straight away. Yeah,
mine's my stomach, like everything else.
Yeah, my hands start like shaking into the stomach like everything else.
Everything goes into my stomach, mate.
Default.
Especially since lockdown. Blooming hell. I must have put on like 2.5 stone. It's killing me.
Man, you gotta get that. You gotta get that optional 1 walk a day in, mate.
I'm gonna get that optional.
That government authorised walk. You've got to get it in.
Why want these ghost hunts? Try and get a bit of exercise in.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we go to the really scary places, you get to run away.
I'll run at it. I know what I'm like. I'll run straight at it. I'm gonna be like possessed.
Either way, you're running. It's good news.
Yeah.
Too right. Yeah, agreed. Either way, you're winning.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it'd be interesting to see what you do then. If that's your response to something like that, it'd be interesting to see what you do if we ever did a a ghost walk.
I do have that. You know, it's funny really because how you were saying before, Steve, that obviously you just do. You don't think, you just do. I think I definitely agree with that 100%. But I think there are times where you don't, and I think the times when you freeze, for instance, that's when you're locked. Your brain hasn't decided whether to like fight or flight. You literally lock in. You don't move anywhere. You're just staring at it. Do you know what I mean?
When you are locked, your brain, even you, not subconsciously, you trying to think what to do, you can't do anything until it clicks. And then once it clicks, that's it.
And then you're into it. But I mean, depending on what I saw, say, take for example, hypothetical situation, we're stood in a corridor and something starts walking toward us. I am not the kind of person who would just go, nope, and just bolt. Like, I can hear something coming, I'm bolting. I need to lock my eyes on it first. I need to see what I'm dealing with. And if it's looking a bit spicy, I'm out. But if it's looking like, like, it sounds weird, but it's that typical thing. Depending on what it was, what it looked like, what we were dealing with, I think that would genuinely depend on my response to it.
Well, it's almost like, and I'm probably looking too deeply into it, but I'm kind of referencing it off fight or flight when you're actually in a fighting situation.
Yeah.
So it's almost like your brain quickly assessed what was happening, like instantaneously calculated, and was like, you need this amount of energy to get out of this situation. Like, the depth perception and whatnot, you were like, it's this far away, it's coming at me at X amount of speed.
Yeah, it was catching. Yeah, it was coming at me.
You need this much energy to get you away. Yeah. And like, it does that in like probably calculations that we'll never be able to work out or fathom. But it gave you an adrenaline dump in that.
Yeah.
From what you've said, it wasn't just an adrenaline rush, it was a dump.
Oh, full.
Like, it literally flooded you full of adrenaline. I bet you had some right cramp that evening.
Yeah, it's not something that I really like remember. And I mean, I used to be like pretty, well, yeah, I suppose I used to be pretty athletic. You know, I'd spend all my time outside and this, that, and the other. And as I got older, I did a lot of long distance running. So I was already like, I was the kind of person who could just burst into a sprint and I wasn't dying afterwards. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like, a bit heavy breathing, but I'm not keeled over, that kind of thing. So I was already sort of prepared for a situation like that, if you know what I mean, like without the adrenaline, but with the adrenaline, it really did get me to pick up the pace. Definitely, I don't think I've ever run so fast.
Maybe the ghost just wanted to race you, see how fast you were.
Maybe, and I won. I want it known on record.
He's locking onto you. He's like, I need to overtake this guy, and then I can go to the other side. And you just
when you turned around, he could have gone past you. That's it. You never knew you lost.
No, true. But in my mind, I won. In my mind, I beat a ghost in a race, right? Winning. Only got one gear. Go.
So with it, did you ever tell your mate about that? Like you were with?
I told him there and then.
What was his reaction though?
Because he saw the look on my face, because it was that legitimate, like, whited out, like, it had sort of, like, whited my face out, and as he's, like, laughing, and he sort of saw me, he sort of, that quickly came, and he's like, what's up? And I told him the situation, and it was that sort of typical, he didn't, he did not turn around, and he was like, behave, or anything like that, there was nothing, he took it as I told it to him, and it, like, sort of creeped him out, and we were like, let's get the hell out of here. But he
overtook you.
Took my word for it, as it were, and there was nothing there, so we just sort of carried on walking. We just carried on walking at that point, because there was nothing there. But no, he took it from me at face value, and we just carried on going.
Yeah, like spooky wooky. It would creep me out, like 100%, even if like it was just a childhood imagination or whatever. That would terrify me.
Yeah.
If I seen someone just like sprinting after me with, from the way you described it, it looked like they were giving you the dead eye.
Yeah, just not even, just literally just a resting face, just a blank expression, where someone has just got that blank expression. There's no emotion on it. Do you know what I mean? They're not happy, they're not angry, they're not sad, or anything like that. It's just a resting, just blank face, but eyes locked into mine. That was like all I can tell you. Just eyes locked on.
That'd creep me out. I'd be interested to see what I would do if that ever happened on one of our sort of ghost adventure things that we're never going to do, because lockdown's never going to end. But no, I'd be interested to see what I would do in that situation. I kind of come across as like, oh, I'm fine, but you don't know until you know.
Of course, absolutely.
I know. Go on, Steve.
No, fine, go on.
I was going to say, I mean, I've been in like not real time situations, but obviously what we talked about on like the last podcast and a podcast before, where I had something happen to me without my knowledge, but I had it on record, and I was terrified after that. But I don't know if it was the element that I wasn't aware that it was happening,
and it was
more
right
than
there.
I was. More than I would have been if I was there. So I don't know, the situation on that, what I would have done if I had noticed it.
Yeah, I know. I think it's a similar feeling that you'd probably get if you found a photo of yourself taken like through your front window by someone you don't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? That feeling of being watched. It's a complete invasion of privacy. You feel scrutinised and vulnerable. Like, it sounds daft, but it's true.
It is literally like someone's done something to you without your prior knowledge.
Yeah, you've been violated, haven't you, in a way?
Yeah. So that's the easiest way to sort of describe it.
Yeah, that creeped me, especially on like a recording. I think that'd definitely get me. But I mean, there'll always be that fear. Please do, please do. I think there'll always be a bit of that fear, though. I think instilled because, as I say, because I suffered so badly with night terrors as a kid, it traumatized my child's brain. I mean, it's so easy for it to happen. It's so easy to be traumatized by simple things.
Yeah.
Like, as a kid, it's just so easy. It's like every kid on Earth gets traumatized by something, whether they even know it or not.
Except for Steve's kids.
Except for Steve's kids. Yeah, they're absolute beast mode.
It's not just my kids. It's this generation in general.
Yeah, like they definitely are.
They're brought up with it.
Well, for me, it definitely like. Yeah, it definitely stuck in. Sorry, Steve. Yeah, I was just going to say it's definitely just locked in, and it was one of those things that, even though, don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm scared of the dark or anything now, but I never lost that wild imagination from being a kid. It never went away, which, enjoys working against me, definitely. But sorry, Steve. Apologies for cutting you off.
No, it's fine. I'll say what I was going to say is the quality of films and things like that. There's no wonder kids are used to it, whereas before it used to be when I was younger, before like the newer sort of films like 90s films came out, I used to get shown the older scary films, and it was like the stop motion stuff. None of that was actually scary, and then it all started getting like the CGI's got better. You look at some of the films now, and it's like it's happened in real life, like someone physically recorded that. There's no wonder kids watching that all the time, that sort of stuff. They're gonna get desensitized.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
What was the remake of that film? Is it? It had Ash as the main character.
Oh, Evil Dead.
Evil Dead, right? So the remake of that.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
There's one scene in that absolutely creeped me out. Where they're down in the cellar and it's all flooded.
Yeah.
And the ghost, whatever it is, sort of like floats across the water, but really quickly at them.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about that, but that just freaked me the hell out. That was the scariest part of that film. I could take all the other stuff, but just being in the cellar. Yeah, because I don't know whether it's because obviously if I was in water, I wouldn't be able to move that quick. But the fact that it just floats through the water at the speed that it went and the fear that I'd got off that is spine chilling.
Yeah,
I'm not one to be scared. Like, I'm not one to be scared of like horror films and things like that.
But I think everyone's got that one little thing though.
Yeah,
that's always going to get you. Mine's the the Japanese style of where they move all jagged. All distorted. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where they're moving, but it's in like super quick, sharp movement. That's mine. Something's coming down the corridor like that. Yeah, that's mine, definitely.
Yeah, just abnormal movement, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Bones cracking and
that kind of thing where it's all just twisting around and stuff. Yeah, like that kind of thing gets me. Yeah, absolutely. That ragdolling, it's horrible. That.
Yeah. So you said you got one more story.
You said you had
told
you that. No, the other one, it wasn't necessarily a story. No, it wasn't necessarily a story. It was just general experiences I had when I used to work. I worked for about 4 years at the Fox and Goose. Up,
I know the Fox and Goose.
well, the Fox and Goose is at the top of Old Brampton, as you well know.
Yeah,
Then you drive up through Old Brampton to get to the Fox and Goose. Well, you know that tiny little hamlet next to it, Wadshelf. Well, that's where I grew up. That tiny little hamlet there, and that little school on the corner. That's where I went to primary school. Well, I grew up pretty much there, and I worked at the Fox and Goose, right? And the Fox and Goose is wildly haunted. Let me tell you, that's one that I will argue down to the ground with anybody over the fact that it absolutely is. When you worked there as long as I did, and you did Sunday nights, and you were the only person in the building for hours on end.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I'm glad they had a sound system. I wouldn't have done it if they didn't. I couldn't handle it. It was horrible. It was awful. Like, as soon as everybody had gone as well. So it got to a point where it quietened down, like, especially coming up to winter. Yeah. So you'd go, like, an hour, 2, before someone had even come in. You just stood about, pretty much, behind the bar. You know, everything's clean. You just sort of stood around. You're not really doing much. And you've got time just to sort of think. And yeah, that, like I say, I used to turn the music up all the time. Because I'd constantly hear people running around upstairs. Building's empty. Could hear footsteps running around upstairs. I used to hear people coming down the stairs at the side of the bar, right to the door that had come into the bar, and it stopped.
Oh,
I hated it. It was awful. It really did unnerve me badly. That place is not. I never had anything nasty happen to me.
Yeah.
But I did not enjoy it. I really didn't enjoy it.
Playful pitter-patter.
Yeah, the last thing to go off was genuinely music. Like, we're talking, I would hit the alarm, walk past, turn the music off, straight out the door, lock it, I'm gone.
Yeah.
The last thing that'd go off, because I used to turn the music off, then do all like the like cashing up and whatnot with the money. No, I couldn't handle it. I did that once, I couldn't do it again.
Well, me and Steve watched we did a reaction on one of these podcasts. You'll have to watch it. Because there is
exactly what I was thinking about.
There is a stare moment in this reaction, in this actual video of this guy that's being haunted.
Yeah.
And it, like, Steve got pretty scared at, like, this shadow moving across and, like, waking this guy up with a growl.
Yeah.
The stare thing was the thing that absolutely, like, freaked me the hell out watching it. Just being sat watching it was just, yeah. So, yeah, you've got a lot of podcasts to catch up on. So
I do, and I will.
I'll give you some links to
you guys have been good enough to have me on. I will absolutely put the time in. Definitely, be a pleasure.
No, we appreciate you joining. Hopefully, you'll be on for some more.
Yeah, if you'll have me, definitely, man.
Yeah, we've got a few topics. I've got somebody that's giving me ideas now on stuff that he'd like to listen to. So I also want in the comments as well, and from you guys, some stuff that you want to talk about. And I think we'll wrap that up there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So thanks, James and Steve, for joining. Anything you want to plug?
Steve,
don't plug
bit of Ryan's E-Joyce.
E-Joyce.
E-Joyce. Laughing at the same time.
Dreads Mangu.
Yeah, Dreads
Mangu. Gotta love it. For me personally, yeah, guys, Monday to Friday, you can catch me on Twitch at Partisan Turbine 64. Like I say, Monday to Friday, every day. And on Twitter, Facebook, PT64 Gaming, because the schedule's a bit up in the air at the moment with people working from home, rinsing the bandwidth. So the schedule's a little bit up in the air. But yeah, post all schedule and stuff on my Facebook and Twitter. And yeah, like I say, you can catch me on there.
Yeah, no worries. Links to them will be in the description. As per, Steve only plugs my stuff. So thanks, Steve.
Yep.
And yeah, take care.
Bye.